I started as an English teacher. First job was in Korea, teaching children. After that, I really didn't know what I was doing. No idea. I just did my best, and luckily the kids learned quickly because, for kids it's very easy. So I was a terrible English teacher for a long time. Basically, I did my best with the kids, but then after that, I taught adults. I taught in Japan a few times. I taught in America, and I felt bad because I saw the students really were not learning. They were studying hard and they were memorizing grammar rules. I was using textbooks, of course, following the normal methods, textbooks, focus on grammar and just memorizing. And, these poor students, after like 1 year, 2 years, like almost zero improvement in their speaking. So I just thought, what is wrong? What is wrong? And I felt bad. This is my job, and I liked teaching them, and I wanted to help them, but it just it became more and more frustrating for them, and then for me because I was failing them, and it was a big problem, right? So I'm like, I'm a failure as a teacher. My job is to help them speak my language. I can't even help them speak my own language. What's wrong with me? So I began to search for other methods, things that were different, because obviously the normal methods used in, 99% of schools, so almost every school, it's the same method. Textbooks are a little different, but the methods are basically the same. Maybe they have a small communication activities sometimes in some conversation classes, but not much. So then I started looking into it and started researching a lot and finding people like Blaine Ray, who is a great language teacher who founded something called TPRS, and a guy named James Asher, who did something called TPR, which is total physical response. So these guys are doing very different things, not memorizing, not textbooks, and instead like using actions, using their bodies, using stories, using emotion, and lots of listening and interaction and high energy and all these things. And I was like, this looks really interesting. So I started to play with these methods and started getting some good results with my students. This was in Japan, my third job in Japan. I was having good success there. I also had a job in Thailand, and was doing pretty well and seeing improvement. The students were finally getting excited, like, oh, wow, we're actually improving. They loved the method. It's much more fun. But then I realized that there was still something missing, still something quite important, actually. And that is that the students still had problems with motivation and confidence. So even if they were improving, they were still nervous to speak. To actually really speak to someone. You really use English, even though maybe they knew more, it was in their brain, but then they started to speak and they would get nervous and worried and thinking too much. And so I'm like, oh my God, this is a huge thing. And then that caused them to lose their motivation. They didn't enjoy English. Their motivation started to drop. And of course, quitting is the big problem. They quit. And then, of course, if you quit, you don't improve. So this is where I really started to study NLP, which is a kind of psychological system. Originally comes from a guy named Richard Bandler, later Tony Robbins, probably the most famous guy who uses NLP and really has made it well known, and added that into the system. And this is what really created then the full effortless English system. It's that combination of those language methods, stories and actions and energy and emotion, plus the psychological parts, motivation, right? Confidence building, changing your beliefs, your mindset, all of these things. And when you put those two together, then you get a very, very powerful system and great results. And I finally started to see great results for my students.